I'm sharing my screen. I think as far as I can remember, by the time it loads up, as far as I can remember, up to the previous week, we studied about the I start. In fact, we have studied everything about the binary conversion, right? And what we are missing is the the hexadecimal, octal, and the conversion between them. I think I have not discussed about that, as far as I can remember. So let me start the discussion about hexadecimal and octal. Uh, the fact is hexadecimal and octal uh, numbers or octal number base are extremely important. In fact more than octal, it is hexadecimal. In fact usage of octal base is rare to find, but hexadecimal is the major point of discussion, right? And it is extremely important in studying, that means understanding the binary number system, uh, or large binary number system, rather to be specific. In fact, if you can remember from our discussion of binary number system, that there, to obtain the binary number from a decimal, it has not synced till now, I guess. It has synced now. So to obtain the binary number from the decimal, what I did, we divided the number by 2 continuously, right? And similarly, we have also seen here, okay, I have shown in fact a basic of base 16 there, right? That you can even get base 16 number by dividing continuously by 16 and get the remainder, um, again in the same way as you have done in the case of binary or any other basis, right? Uh, and whenever for the digits from 10 to 15, we employed the alphabets from A to F. Let me write this here again. So if we suppose if we take the number that we had here, let me take this number, the same number, to keep the discussion continuous, 39473 as a recapitulation, 39473, right? And I'll divide by 16. Obviously I'll use my calculator. You can employ same as well, and we'll get 2467. If I, after dividing by 16, we get 2467, sorry, 2467, and the remainder becomes 1, right? Similarly, after dividing 2467, we get 154, and the remainder becomes 3. And if we divide 154 by 16, it's quite clear, 9 will come here, and it is 144, so 10 will be here, right? So now we'll take the digits in the reverse way. So 39473 in decimal will become 9, and 10 means, as a recapitulation, 10 is A, 11 is B, 12 is C, 13 is D, and 14 is E, and 15 is F, right? So it will become 9A31 in hexadecimal. And similarly, to convert from hexadecimal to decimal, the conversion is exactly the same. It is 0, 1, 2, 3. So 9 into 16 cube plus 10 into 16 square plus 3 into 16 plus 1. And if you evaluate this, you will get this 39473 back. So that's obvious. That's quite obvious. Now, till now, we have seen, I think we have also mentioned that to convert a number, say the number is n in base A, in fact from base A to base B, where none of them are 10, where A is not equal to B and A is not 10, B is not 10. Right. And there we have seen that the two-step process. One, convert n from base A to decimal, and then step 2, convert n from decimal to base B. Right? This is what we have seen. Maybe you could have converted from base A to base B directly only if you know how to divide in base A or how to multiply in base B. As for example, here we are converting from base 10 to base 16 because we know how to divide in base 10, right? But obviously do not know how to divide in other bases rather than 10, because division and multiplication or any arithmetic operation, it is so common for human brain to perform in base 10, and to do it in any other bases we cannot do that naturally. So that's why to convert from base A to base B we have to go via base 10, but that's not always the case. That's not always the case. The special case that turns out to be if B is some power of k. Okay, if the base, I am converting from base A to base B, if B turns out to be some power of base A, or if B turns out to be some power of A, some integer power of A, that means k is an integer, what you can do is that simply take the number an minus 1, an minus 2, and so on, say a2, a1, a0. What I can do is that group k digits of n in base A from the last. In fact, though I'm mentioning it as last and this is first, but this is not the exact word. It has a name that is called least significant digit. This is the least significant digit. This is the most significant digit. In fact, I cannot remember whether I have mentioned all these things to you or not. This least significant digit, this most significant digit, and as you will go along in this direction, the significance of the digits increase. Okay, so the fact here is that you group the k digits. That means, suppose if I write something, say 3 1 5 9 0 2 7 1, maybe it is in some base A and B is say a to the power a cube. Okay, and you want to convert it into base B, you will take groups of 3 digits from the last, and we have 2 digits here, adding prefixing a 0 in front of the number does not change its value, so we'll add a 0 and take this. So we'll first group them into the corresponding k number of digits. Okay, the reason behind this is that there is a one-to-one conversion. See, grouping these three number of digits. Okay, in fact, if I try to elaborate it in the general number system case, it will be more complex to you. So let me try to simplify this only for the case of binary, hexadecimal, and octal. Now, after converting this, after taking the groupification, the fact is you can convert each group directly in base B. Let me show this. Let me show how this happens, but with example of what our original target, hexadecimal and octal. See, suppose so we can convert directly from binary to hexadecimal. Binary, that means this is base 2 to hexadecimal, or octal. Hexadecimal means base 16, which is 2 to the power 4, or octal base 8, which is 2 cube. Okay, let me take a binary number, a random binary number, say 10110100 1. I think I have taken 9 digits, so let me remove this first digit. As 16 is the power of 2 and the value of k here is 4, I am going to take groups of 4. In obviously 8 bits, if you divide 8 by 4, you will get 2 groups simply. Now you can convert each of these group straightforward to hexadecimal, and this conversion is straightforward because in base 16 the digits vary from 0 to 15, right, where 15 is the corresponding F. 0 to 15, and each hexadecimal digit corresponds to 4 binary digits, or in fact 4 bits. That means, let me show the correspondence. In fact, this correspondence is straightforward. Suppose I am writing this in hex, and this is my binary conversion directly. 0 will be 0 0 0 0, 1 and it is quite straightforward now. And in fact, you will see that it will match exactly for each group of 4 bits. You take any group of 4 bits, you will always get an equivalent hexadecimal digit, because with 4 bits the maximum number you can represent is 15, and the base 16 ranges from 0 to 15. In fact, you think deeply. The root is because of the root of this cause is because the one base is exactly the perfect part of the other. That's why you get this matching. me write on this side. Hex 10. In fact, rather than 10, it is better that you start practicing with the alphabets, which in fact is value 10. 1 0 1 0. And finally F. Okay, we have covered all binary digits here. Now this I want to convert this one, right? So 0 1 1 0 1 0 0 1. Take the groups of 4. Okay, 1 0 1 1 0 means 6, this one, and 1 0 0 1 means 9. This will be the corresponding hexadecimal. Simply, if you want to get the verification, let me show you. 0 1 1 0 1 0 0 1 0, that means 1 here, 0 1 2 3, so 2 cube plus 3 4 5, 2 to the power 5 plus 2 to the power 6, 40 64 104 105. This is in base 10, and 69 in hexadecimal. This will be 6 into 16 plus 9. Okay, so you can do this simply just looking at the binary, just looking at the bits. You can directly convert that into hexadecimal, and obviously vice versa. If I have, if I take some hexadecimal digit, say, let me take this one, this 39473. Getting its binary would be quite cumbersome by dividing continuously by 2, right? Hexadecimal will make it easy. 39473, that is 9831. So 39473. So if you have really large number, it's always advisable to go via the hexadecimal path. This will make your task easier. Let me write the binary here. Now 9 means 1001. A means 1010. 3 means 0011. See, I am just converting each hexadecimal digit by the group of 4 bits, and 1 means 0001. This will be the binary conversion of this number. Okay, so that's why always remember that in computer science we always represent large binary numbers in hexadecimal. That's the norm, right? Because you can directly from binary number to hexadecimal and from hexadecimal to binary, straightforward.
हेलो सर,
हाँ बोलो।
जी डेसिमल से हेक्साडेसिमल में डायरेक्ट कैसे कन्वर्ट कर दिया 39473 को?
यहाँ पर मैं ऊपर करके रखा था। क्लास का शुरुआत ऐसे ही किए थे, कॉन्टिन्यूसली 16 से डिवाइड करके दिस वन। ओके, any other query? Any query or anything you fail to understand in this concept of hexadecimal? In fact, हाँ बोलो, anyone? Okay, In fact, the previous day I showed you about this ASCII, right? And let it get loaded. Okay, and there I have shown you that this welcome to bolo.
Sir, you have grouped them into 4 nodes, sir. That is depending on value of k, sir.
Yes, that's depending on that depends upon the value of k, the power. So if b is the kth power of a, take k groups of digits from the last. Okay, as 16 is the fourth power of 2, that's why I have taken the 4 bits from the last. Okay,
Okay, sir.
Adding up 0 as the prefix if it is not multiple of 4. Okay, so here previously I told you that I am writing this directly, this 87 I wrote directly this into, I think, this 8 bit 0101 0111. How did I write that? Obviously I cannot convert a decimal number directly to binary by dividing all the ways by 2. The fact is, if you look into this, W, as up to the previous day hexadecimal was not being discussed, so I did not show you. W was 87. Okay, but look into the hexadecimal code. This is 57. This is what I converted here. 5 means 0101 and 7 is 0111. That's why W turned out to be this. Then this small e is 101. 101 is in decimal, but we will always focus on hexadecimal. That is 65. 0110 is 6 and 0101 is the 5, and so on. The fact is, whenever you write something in your text file, this binary gets written into that corresponding text file, as I have discussed previously. But always look for hexadecimal. Though our natural tendency is to go for decimal always, but if you want to really know what is happening within the computer, always look for the hexadecimal. Okay, and the fact is, octal, it is third power of 2. So the concept is same. The concept is exactly same. Just you have to take, sir, 3 bits of 2. 3 bits. Bolo.
Sir, in that 87, those numbers are there, no sir? In that below the ASCII table. Why did you take that 87 101 only in hexadecimal, sir? Is it written somewhere, or you have taken like that, for example?
See, ASCII, this is a well-known standard, internationally supported and acclaimed standard. You can take this. In fact, I have shared this as well. You can even search ASCII chart over the net. That is one thing every computer science student should keep handy. This is the well-known standard. That means, does not matter on whatever computer or whatever electronic device you write. If you write capital W, internally it will always be represented by this 57, means 0101 0111. Okay. So this representation you have seen here. I have taken this decimal only for your easiness. Otherwise, this welcome to C programming, everything will be written in this continuous stream of bits. And to know what bits will be stored, look for the corresponding hexadecimal code in the ASCII chart.
Okay, sir. Understood.
Okay. Okay. Now, octal, it is a third power of 2. So this time I will take 3 groups of 3 bits only, right? Rather than 4 bits, I will take only groups of 3 bits. So let me take this number 0110 1001. 0110 1001. Now I'm going to take 3 bits, 001, 101, and it is 2 left only now, so I'll prefix a 0, so 00, right? And this in hexadecimal will be then 001 is 1, 101 is 5, and 001 is 1 again. That will be in octal. And again you can check it out, 1 into 8 square plus 5 into 8 plus 1, 64, 40 plus 1, that is also giving you 105. And the conversion from octal to binary is again straightforward. Sorry for the interruption, my network went off suddenly. So okay, so if I have something like say 31762, that's suppose in octal, okay, and you can convert it back to binary again by following the simple rule, but this time with 3 bits, right? 3 is, if you're confused, the conversion from each 3 bit to octal digit again is straightforward. 000 is 0, 001 is 1, 010 is 2, 0113, 1004, 101 is 5, 110 is 6, and 111, covering up all the 3 bits, it's 7. And you have covered all the 3 bits from 000 to 111. So 3 will be 011, 1 will be 001, 7 will be 111, 6 will be 110, and 2 will be 010. That will be the binary conversion from this octal. If you can check it out, every digit is being converted to each group of 3 bits. 7 is here, 6 is here, and this 2 is here. Okay, but octal, truth to be told, has not much use in general. Okay. Any confusion regarding this hexadecimal and octal, or anything that I have discussed till now regarding the binary, regarding the total number system? Any confusion till now? Because now I'm going to start another new topic. This is all about the study of number system. Any confusion regarding positive integers, negative integers, floating point numbers, or this hexadecimal, octal, anything?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay. So let me start the next topic, inside the computer. What is inside the computer? Initially, on the very first class, we just looked into a brief overview that there are RAM, processor, if you can remember this RAM, processor, hard disk, and so on. And if you can remember, that all data or any application, in fact any application, it stays on hard disk, right? When you execute this, it comes to RAM, and then CPU takes each instruction. In fact, every application is a sequence of instructions. CPU takes each instruction one by one and executes that. Now we will see that in much more larger version. In fact, we are going to go much more deeper. But before that, we have to see how computer in fact performs this operation. If I'm telling about, say, add these two numbers, how computer is adding up, right? What is there inside that is adding the two numbers or multiplying the two numbers and so on, right? You have seen the algorithm of binary addition or the logic of binary addition, but how binary addition and subtraction, but how that is implemented, how that is being automated based upon some instruction, that I'll show just an overview. But I think to prior to discussing that, I think you already have from your high school physics the idea of the logic gates. AND gate, OR, XOR, NOT gate, and obviously their NOT version. This is NAND, NOR, XNOR, and these are the 7 gates, right? These 7 gates, which obviously internally these 7 gates are made up of transistors. Eventually, zeros, 0 and 1 are different voltage levels. Different voltage levels. Say, suppose you have created an AND gate using the transistors, and you want to do the operation between two 1 bits. You will pass high voltage through both the inputs, and the output voltage you will always see that also becomes high. So that's why you treat that output as 1. Now suppose if you make the voltage level on any of the input low, the transistors have been set up in the gate. In fact, there are several logics for that, digital logics for RTL, ECL, and so on. That if you make any of the input at low voltage level, it will immediately make the output voltage level low. It is for AND gate. So the same operation occurs for all other gates. Let me write the a small truth table. Suppose A, B, this is the input, and OR, XOR, NAND, NOR, and XNOR. NOT is a single bit input. If you pass high voltage, output will be a low voltage. If you pass low voltage, output will be a high voltage. It converts 0 to 1 and 1 to 0. AB 0 0, AND will be 0, OR will be 0, XOR will be 0. This will be 1, right? 0 1, AND will be 0, OR will be 1, XOR will be 1, NAND will be 1 and will be 0. NOR will always be the inverted value of OR. NAND will always be inverted value of AND. And just 1 second, because I do not have current at this moment. So okay, connected to another power source. Well, so what I was saying, so if it is 0 1, and will be 0, or will be 1, XOR will be 1. NAND will always be an inverted of AND, NOR will be always be an inverted of OR, and XNOR will be always an inverted version of XOR. 1 0, it will be 0 1 1, the outputs will be same, and for 1 1, it will be 1, it will be 1, but XOR will be 0. NAND, this will be 0 0 and 1. Right? So that's how these gates are designed, to follow this truth table. Now, any digital circuit, any Boolean function can be implemented using these gates. Let me show an example. Suppose I want to create a half adder. Half adder in the sense that half adder means the adder that does not have carrying, that does not input any carry. Let me recapitulate about how addition is done again. Suppose I have 1 0 1 1 0 1 1 0. 1 and 0, this will be 1. 1 and 1, this will be 0, and there will be a carry of 1. This is the carry bit. 1 and 1, 0, and there will be again a carry of 1. 1 and 1, 0. There will be again a carry of 1, and this one will come here. For now, we'll consider that we are not confining anything, or if you want to confine, you can confine within 4 bits. Then you have to remove this 1 bit. But that's not the major issue. The main thing is that this carry, in the case of half adder, we will consider that only these 2 bits are coming. There is no carry in bit. Then we will go for the full adder. See, so if you look into the half adder, but it will have carry out, right? A, B, S, and suppose S is S is for the sum and the carry out bit. Now, if both bits are 0, sum will be 0 and there will be no carry out. If 1 0, sum will be 1, 1 and 0 1, but there is no carry out. If 0 1, again sum will be 1, there will be no carry out. And if it is 1 1, sum will be 0. See, 1 1, it is 0, but there will be a carry of 1. Now, this is the truth table, and I think from this truth table, the relationship of outputs with inputs are already clear. S is, if you look into this truth table, S is XOR of A and B. XOR has a symbol A. This is the XOR symbol used in Boolean functions. A XOR B. This is XOR. And if you look into the carry, see 0 0 0 1. This is AND. The logic of AND. AB. Plus, that means multiplication. That means there is written nothing. That represents AND. That means a dot represents AND. The symbols used in Boolean functions. Then XOR is used for, it is XOR, plus is used for or, and a bar like this, it is used for not. Okay, so if you write something, say a plus b, that is a or b, and if you do a not of that, that will become a nor b. That means you are doing or first, then you are doing not of that result. So not of or, that is becoming not. Okay, similarly like the NAND and X not. Okay, so rest apart these details. So this is the equation that you will get, that you are getting directly from the truth table. So we can now draw the circuit. We can now in fact design the circuit where A and B will be the input. The inputs will be A and B. There will be a XOR between them that will give me the sum output. Take two wires out of this to flow the current on this line as well, and do an AND between them. That will give you the carry. And now simply just case it out like a black box. This case, that means consider it like a small circuit that does half addition of 2 bits. Is the discussion clear till now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, similarly, we can create a full adder. To create a full adder, we will have to look into the corresponding truth table as well. The full adder, that means the original adder, that takes the 3 inputs. A, B and the carry in. The carry in, that is coming as this is the carry out of this circuit. This carry out will become the carry in of the previous bit, right? So, carry in, I am writing this as carry in, this is sum and this is carry out. Now, if it is just 1 second. If it is 0 0 0, okay, sum will be 0, there will be no carry out. 0 0 1. Now if the carry in comes as 1 and you have 0 0 here, obviously there will be a result will be 1 and there will be no carry out. 0 1 0, similarly 1 0, 0 1 1, this will give you sum as 0, carry out as 1. 1 0 0, 1 0, 1 0 1, that will give you 0 1, 1 1 0, this will give you 0 1, and finally 1 1 1, this will give you 1 and 1, because if there is a carry in 1 but the previous 2 bits was already 1, so this will be 1 here and there will be a carry out of 1 that will go from here, right? This is the truth table. Now this truth table directly does not tell us anything. Generally for to get the minimal circuit, rather to say to get the minimal circuit, from the truth table, there are two algorithms or logics. More specifically, there are two algorithms, widely used algorithms. First, Karnaugh map, and secondly, Quine-McCluskey method. Obviously, based upon the names of the creators of these methods, and both of them gives provably minimum digital circuit. They will not go into the details of this, but if you employ any of them, if some of you is going to computer science or IT and you study the digital electronics, and those who are going to electronics as well, then in the digital electronics course we will study these two methods in details there. But let me write them directly. In fact, you can verify it, that sum will be A XOR B XOR C in, okay, and C out will be AB plus BC in plus C in A. Okay, these two equations will be obtained. These two equations will be the equation of the minimal circuit for this full adder. Okay, I am not showing the algorithm because that will drift us to a completely different discussion. Our major focus is to get the circuit. Now, once you have the Boolean expression, getting the circuit is straightforward, right? So again, I'll have A and B, and this time C in as well. First, do the XOR of A and B, and along with this result, do the XOR of C in. This will give you the sum, and you have to perform this operation. That means do AND of AB, do AND of BC in, and do AND of C in A, and do an OR of them. Okay, you will get C out. How many operations do you need to carry out? 1, 2, 3, then 2 ORs. Total 5 operations. In fact, we can minimize it. Let me take the B common. A plus C in plus C in A. I have taken the B common from here. So now 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 operations will be sufficient. So we have, in fact, later on in digital electronics, you will see several ways to simplify a Boolean equation. I am not going into any depth of this. So first you have to do. So let me implement this in the circuit. Okay. What do we have to do? First, we have to do an OR of A and C in. We did the OR of A and C in done. So if this part is going to be available from this line. Now I am going to AND it with B. This is an AND gate of the result of this result and B together. This part, so this together you are getting out from here. Now This C in and A, their AND is also needed to be done. So there will be another fan out here. The another wire must be added here, and their AND will be done. Okay, so this is giving me this one, and this part and this part, do an OR of them. This will give you the C out. And just again case it in a suitable IC. This will give you the full adder. This will do the accurate addition of 2 bits along with a carry in. Is it clear? Though my lines were not quite straight because it's quite difficult to draw here. So is the concept clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do not have, okay, it's already 2:55. Otherwise I would show you that how these, okay, let me show this in brief. Next I'll discuss this in details. Now suppose you want to do the addition of 2 bits. Okay. Say you want to do the addition of 2 numbers, say 4 bits numbers, A3, A2, A1, A0 and B3, B2, B1, B0. Just pass this A0, B0 and suppose the C in from here. You will get the sum 0, S0 output and some carry out, right? Take this carry out and pass it to the next one. That will be the carry in of the previous bit. This is one full adder circuit. This is one full adder circuit. These abstractions, see, within this full adder circuit, this is there. But if we draw this completely, it would be simply a repetition of the same thing, wastage of time and wastage of space. So throughout the computer science, abstraction, even in programming as well, you see this concept of abstraction, where the higher level hides the details of the lower level. So this is again B1 is being passed here, A1 is being passed through here, the S1 is coming out of here. Again it will create a carry out. This carry out will go as the carry in to this A2 B2 bit. And you will get the S2 out of here. This is another full adder. This is B2 and this is A2, and finally this full adder here. You will get B3, you will get A3, you will get the S3 out of here, and discard. Some of you is unmuted. Kindly mute yourself. You have nothing to ask. And discard the C out of here. That means we are discarding the bit that is coming out of here, and you will get the complete 4-bit full adder. 4-bit add. That means the circuit that will do the addition of 2 4-bit numbers, and the additional result you will get here. Okay. Next day, tomorrow, I'll show you how this same circuit is also used for subtraction as well. Any confusion regarding today's discussion? Any confusion regarding today's discussion? Is everything that I've discussed today is clear to all of you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I'm stopping the sharing and I'm stopping the recording. We'll see